Kenneth LaMaster, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I am so excited to have you here. I told you that I went down a rabbit trail to find you, although it actually wasn't too difficult to find you because you have quite the record we're going to get into where you've been featured for your expertise. But let's go into who you are, okay? Prison historian, author, and former correctional officer of FCI Leavenworth for 31 years.
Yes.
Now FCI Leavenworth. It changed names, correct?
In 2005, they downgraded the United States Penitentiary at Leavenworth to an FCI, and it was pretty much basically a funding type thing. FCIs get more money than USPs do.
Okay.
So, and they changed the whole dynamics of the institution. We actually walked around the institution for about 10 days with no inmates.
Oh, how weird.
Which is actually more scary than...
I bet.
Seems
eerie.
Yeah, it's like, what do we do now?
Yeah. Well, so first of all, we live in the world where people are crime junkies, true crime junkies. They love the podcast. I love the documentaries. People have gotten so fascinated in this world. Actually, what triggered me to end up finding you, I think I told you this, is that I listened to another podcast with a psychologist who actually went to Leavenworth to study criminals who were there for child sexual abuse. Heavy topic, right? But the fact that she brought up she went to Leavenworth really kind of triggered for me, interesting. This woman's like in California, whatever. I didn't know the full history of Leavenworth, which is one of the nation's oldest federal penitentiary.
It is known as the Flagship of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. It's the first federal prison opened in 1904.
That's crazy.
And the Bureau of Prisons actually started under the Federal Prison Service, and it was founded in 1893.
Yeah.
The argument's always been that Leavenworth opted for a federal prison instead of the University of Kansas. Well, the University of Kansas is like 20 years older than the federal prison.
Oh my gosh.
System. So, people always want to argue that point with me, but
yeah,
the prison itself is the very first. And I always tell people that before there was Alcatraz, before there was Marion that replaced Alcatraz, and before there was the Supermax in Colorado, there was Leavenworth. All of the institutional problems of the world came to us.
Yeah.
And we treated inmates totally different than anybody else in the world. Back then in that era, officers were allowed to dictate what their punishments were for inmates. They carried clubs that were brutal. As we talked about earlier, they could be torturous.
You got to pull some of
times.
those stories into this because, man, that's fascinating.
So it's when the federal prison system was developed, it was okay. And the people that were really really just brutalized were the individuals who committed crimes against the government. Money crimes.
Specifically that.
They would take, and if you were a murderer, they would brand M in your forehead.
No way.
If you were a deserter, they would brand you with a D. If you were an adulterer, they branded you with an A.
It's like a scarlet letter.
Yeah, and the situations were just out of control. There's one situation where there's a book out there called The Twin Hells. It's about the Kansas State Penitentiary and the Missouri Penitentiary, where they talk about they found a inmate stealing food out of the kitchen, and they put him in one of the steel milk containers in water up to just barely below his nose, and left him there for like a week to 10 days.
Whoa.
And then got him out. And it's
alive?
Things like that. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's things like that that the federal government wanted to change.
Well, it's interesting the juxtaposition of someone who's in there for most likely a horrific crime, right?
They're not there for singing too loud in church.
That's right. Yeah. So then the idea of like, is this right or wrong, the way that they're being penalized and treated? Clearly, it was a free for all back in the day. So a lot has changed since then. I have a question. Why Leavenworth? Do you have any idea how that came to be? Was that
when the Three Prisons Act was actually passed through Congress and funded, it's like everything else. Congress passes it, and then 2 years later they fund it. They wanted to set up a penitentiary in the southeast, Midwest, and upper northern part of the United States.
Okay.
So that's where you came up with Atlanta, Georgia, Leavenworth, Kansas, and McNeil Island, Washington. Those were the first 3 federal prisons in existence in the United States.
Okay.
And Leavenworth happened to be the one that opened first. And they opened the doors to the first United States Penitentiary Leavenworth actually at the old military prison on Fort Leavenworth on 1 July 1895.
Okay.
And they knew from the very beginning that that institution wasn't suitable for housing civilian criminals from the jump, because in areas of the prison, the walls are shallow. They're not that far off the ground. So it was, they determined that they ascensioned the southwest portion of the military reservation of Fort Leavenworth to build the federal prison. And that southwest corner was the origination point for the Santa Fe Trail going across, going west.
Okay.
And the Santa Fe Trail actually traverses through the center of the federal prison.
Oh, interesting.
So it's history ties to everything in that area at the time. It was readily accessible because it was in the middle of the United States. The institution was built by primarily all inmate labor.
Wow.
They actually built the house where they lived.
Yeah.
And
one thing I thought was really interesting, I don't know, I guess what year this would have changed, but one, it looks like Congress. Is that right?
It was fashioned after the Congressional buildings in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Leavenworth and Atlanta both.
Oh, Atlanta too. And then also the fact that there was no AC. So inmates and officers were working in sometimes Kansas heat of like 140 degrees.
I've been on top of a cell house dealing with an individual that has torn up a cell and is not cooperating for anything. We were up there one night for almost 3 hours trying to diffuse the situation. And this was January.
Okay.
And the temperature in the top of the cell house was 148 degrees.
Yeah, I just bring that up in terms of like what people are dealing with. I'm sure that's different now, right? But they're going through like what, a renovation or an addition at Leavenworth right
They're
now?
actually building a whole brand new facility.
It's a whole new facility. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Because they're slated to close the old penitentiary sometime this year.
And we talked, so there, to be clear, you can't do any tours there.
No.
I know plenty of people who would love to tour it. You can't tour it
Actually,
today.
you can do tours.
Illegally?
Yeah. You know, you can, people would pull up to the front end of the institution. You all give tours? Sure.
Yeah.
You know, 5, 10, 15, 25 life. It's just according to what crime you want to
there you go. Yeah.
commit in order to get that tour.
You can get the ultimate long-term tour. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was really interesting just to hear about like some of the backstory of like how it ended up looking like the Congressional building and like what kind of people, like the the environment that people dealt with this prison being so old, you know.
Yeah, but it's a unique building because one of the attorney generals visited the institution early on and during its construction, and he was cited. I believe the attorney general was Homer Cummings. When he first walked into the institution, he was taken back at the fact that the main building, the rotunda, looks like the Congressional Hall with terrazzo floors. They had marble on the walls.
Oh my gosh.
The cell houses are built in a radial style where they actually encircle the rotunda.
Yeah.
And it's quite an interesting looking building when you first go in there because
I bet.
And back in the early days when they started construction, all you really had to do as a civilian was walk up and tell the warden you wanted a tour, and he would assign one of the associate wardens to you, and he would actually take you on a tour of the construction.
Really?
Yes.
Gosh, people would, no pun intended, kill for that today.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, there's and it's it's actually a beautiful building. It's unbelievable on the inside.
I bet. I think when I was telling my husband that I was doing this episode, he was like, "You need to record that like remote at the prison." I was like, "Let me see what I can do about that. That would be a really interesting situation."
Yeah, actually, maybe in the future you could do that, but
Yeah.
anymore or right now,
Yeah.
you can do it, but it has to be from the opposite side of Metropolitan Avenue.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. So let's get into, you're a Kansas guy. No, you're originally from Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into, I want to know a little bit more about your backstory, but I first want to know, how did you end up working at Leavenworth?
Sort of like just every other individual that gets out of high school, I joined the Army.
Okay.
Uncle Sam said, "Go west, young man."
Uh-huh.
He never gave me a horse to go back east on, so here I am. But I started in 1979 at the military prison at Fort Leavenworth, and worked there. I was there for 2 years, 9 months, and 21 days. I wasn't keeping count.
Not at all.
Not at all. I had an interview with the federal prison before I got out of the Army, and the individual interviewed me was named Gary Hinman. He was an associate warden there, and he says, "You checked all the boxes. You're just exactly what we need. There's only one problem." I said, "What's that?" And he says, "With your military haircut, no mustache, you look like you're 12 years old."
Oh.
So go out to the state penitentiary, grow your hair out, grow a mustache, and come back and see us in 6 to 8 months. And when I went back to see him in 6 to 8 months, I found out that my interview was actually going over what day would you like to start.
Okay.
So on 7/24/83, I stepped into the United States Penitentiary Leavenworth, and the story goes from there. And it's a unique institution all on its own.
How did you feel? Like, what was your first day like going into this new job?
Sort of being I always call myself a history idiot.
Okay.
Because I read some of the most mundane history that most people will go.
I don't think you're alone in that.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I grew up in a family that was readers. All of my siblings were older than me. And when I say older than me, my oldest sister was 18 years older than me.
Okay. Yeah.
So they grew up in an era when TV wasn't a norm.
Yeah.
So they read. So they taught me to read. And I've been reading ever since.
Yeah.
And I get to Leavenworth and work at a military prison. It's a prison, but I always tell people the difference between a place like military prison and a federal prison is that the military prisoners at one point had some type of discipline and training, where civilian prisons are totally different.
Okay.
They may not have the same benefit as these guys that were in the military. So I joined the military. They sent me west. Over the course of the 3 years I was at the DB, I met a young lady and married her.
Okay.
We've now been married for 44 years.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
We have decided that we can't release each other back into the wild for fear of lawsuits and legalities, but
you've told her too many stories too.
Yeah. She's the one that will wake me up occasionally and say, "You all right?"
Yeah.
Maybe.
Some nightmares in there. Some dreams coming from former.
There's a few things that play on a loop.
Okay.
In your head.
We might need to hear about those at some point. If you can tell us.
It's kind of one of those. It's the best part about corrections per se is you see something almost hourly that makes you go, "Huh."
Humans are capable of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You look at these people and you just think to yourself, there's a reason why you're here.
Yeah, yeah. There's a reason why you're here, and now you are contained in a place that is probably making your brain spiral into other areas of making choices that you're like, okay.
It's an environment that I mean, in the 32 years that I was involved in corrections total, I've seen, I can't tell you how many assaults I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Physical, sexual.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me one time how many homicides did I think I see, and I was kind of like somewhere along the line of 25
that you witnessed firsthand.
That I was involved with in some form or another. And I mean, I've seen some of the most notorious individuals that you'd ever want to know and ever meet.
Yeah.
From the mafia dons to posse comitatus groups to you name a gang. I've seen them.
Yep.
So it's a world inside a world that
yeah.
It's a gated community.
A gated community. That's one way to put it.
A gated community.
Yeah. Very strong gate. Okay, so let's take a minute. I want to let people know you are featured in so many different things. You are the author of a multitude of things. So let's go over this for a second, okay? So you've been featured in the John Borowski documentary about Carl Panzram.
Yes, ma'am.
The Spirit of Hatred and Vengeance.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to get into his story because he is one of the most notorious in the U.S. that spent time at Leavenworth. Okay. You were featured in the PBS television series History Detectives.
Yes.
You provided institutional insight to the documentary Iceberg Slim, Portrait of a Pimp.
Yep.
We're going to get into him and where he went on to. The television series Chicago PD. Fascinating. The books Inmate 1577 by Alan Jacobson and The Edge of Lost by Christina McMorris.
Yes.
Okay. You've been a featured podcast guest on Most Notorious, a true crime history podcast, Gangland Wire, and My Favorite Murder, to name a few. And then last but not least, you are an author of 4?
Yes.
4 books. So you have Leavenworth 7, The Deadly 1931 Prison Break, which is that the kind of the primary story?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll get into that. Fort Leavenworth and then pictorial books. So, I mean, major props to you. Like, you are this incredible historian that people around the country, probably around the world, have tapped into, which is why I'm so excited to have you here to get into a lot of these stories. So congratulations on what you've done.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here as well.
Yeah, yeah. Which I think begs the question, I want to know, so you worked there for 31 years as a correctional officer.
I started out as a correctional officer. I actually ended my career as a material handler supervisor.
Okay.
I actually opened and operated the first outside food service warehouse there.
Nice.
So I did all of the contract work, did all of the ordering, request for quotes, etc.
Okay.
But I was still, at that point in time, I was actually the official historian of the institution. So
while you were there.
While I was there.
What kind of led to that path to become a historian? Did that come naturally to you going back to, like, you're a reader, you love history? Did you kind of take that upon yourself to kind of grasp onto, and then you've taken it from there to do all of this?
It actually started when I first started work at Leavenworth. We had a sort of institution orientation. And in that institution orientation, they talked about the 1931 escape that I eventually wrote a book about, and it triggered, of course, the dopamine in my brain that said, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And over the course of time, looking into that escape, I would uncover all this other unknown history that people had long forgot about.
Yeah.
And I actually started out as a novice type of person wanting to know more about the history of this place. And I had talked to officers that had worked in that institution all the way back to the 1930s.
Wow.
And they had told me stories about Machine Gun Kelly and Frank Nash and other individuals that had been in that era of criminal enterprise that had come to Leavenworth. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to learn. And it sort of culminated into or manifested itself into a lifetime of whatever.
Yeah. A lifetime hobby, side hustle, all the above. Yeah.
And my father-in-law one day said, you need to write a book. And it's like, people had never believed me.
Yeah.
It's like, and he says, you may want to think about that. And I had actually written a couple of articles that had made newspapers and stuff locally and nationally. I had wrote my first published newspaper article was about how would the Brady Bill have saved Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
So, and it sort of culminated from there. And the 31 escape was always the part of the thing that just kept in the back of my head about wanting to know more and more and more and more and more.
Because to this day, that's one of the most kind of legendary stories of Leavenworth, right?
The warden at the time, Thomas Bruce White, is the only warden in the Federal Bureau of Prisons history to ever be taken hostage to effect an escape. Mm-hmm. And for those out there that think they've heard the name Thomas Bruce White, he was actually the lead investigator for the FBI in the Osage Indian murders of the 1920s that's covered in the book.
The movie, right? Leonardo?
Right. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Thank you. Yeah.
And he actually started his career as a Texas Ranger, moved into, when he got married, he became a railroad detective, and he failed a physical to join the Army in World War I, and he met a fledgling super cop by the name of J. Edgar Hoover that asked him, hey, I'm starting up this organization. Would you be interested? Uh-huh. And at the same time, and most people don't realize this, when I can't remember the Texas governor's name, the first female governor in the state of Texas was elected, she abolished the Texas Rangers.
Oh, okay.
And a large portion of the early FBI were Texas Rangers.
Got it.
Thomas Bruce White, his brother, Cooley White. And Cooley White is actually the guy that shot John Dillinger in the alley.
I mean, these stories, like, intertwined are so fascinating.
So it's when you go over that entire era of criminality and law enforcement, backstories of the FBI, the story of the Federal Bureau of Criminal Identification, which is actually founded at the United States Penitentiary.
Okay.
Underneath Warden R.W. McLaury, who was the second warden. He was a prison expert that at the time he brought in the battalion measurement system. He brought in fingerprinting.
Okay.
Created the Federal Bureau of Criminal Identification that literally taught a large portion of law enforcement in the United States how to fingerprint and categorize fingerprints so they could identify individuals.
What year was that, approximately?
Just the early 1900s.
Okay.
We wound up with two individuals at the prison by the name of West.
Okay.
And the records keeper at the time looked at one of them and said, you've been here before. And he said, I've never been to Leavenworth. And they started looking in the records and actually found the Will West and William West.
Okay.
Well, as the story goes, at the very beginning, their fingerprints are almost identical.
Really?
Their battalion measurements are almost identical.
Huh. And
they eventually discover that they're actually twin brothers.
Okay.
As they go along. And it's the common story of, we think we know you, and no, I've never been here.
Separated at birth?
And pretty much.
Yeah.
And it just evolves from there.
Yeah,
and
that's wild.
The St. Louis World's Fair, they had a display of fingerprints there with a Scotland Yard detective by the name of Kenneth John Ferrier.
Okay.
And he actually helped Leavenworth establish the Federal Bureau of Criminal Identification. And the warden, of course, no nepotism here, his son became the head of the agency.
Okay.
And his son actually is the very first individual to add expert testimony to trials all over the United States. And in one particular case, the individual was being tried for murder for murdering a family with an axe. Oof. And when he got on the stand and they started questioning him, he said, this guy is not the perpetrator of the crime. And they said, well, how do you know this? And he says, the murderer is a left-handed dominant individual, and you have a right-handed dominant suspect here. charged with the murders. And I said, well, how would you know that? And he says, because the individual was left-handed, his positions on the axe used was backwards to a right-hander.
Yeah. It's all in the details, right?
Yeah, and he actually got the individual exonerated from the crime. So that started the ball rolling.
So many things originate with Leavenworth that you'll see in the world of, federal prisons today or trials, whatever. Like
and everyday law enforcement.
Spiderweb, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing.
For years and years and years, we were the polar opposite of what was the norm in prisons at that time, where people were being abused, they were being tortured. Like I said earlier, officers were allowed to dictate what kind of punishment an inmate got for a rules infraction, where the rules for the officers were as strict as the rules for the inmates.
Yeah. Go figure.
They couldn't call them anything but by their number. They, anything that was, shorty, fatty, butchy. Yeah. They couldn't call them by any type of nicknames. They couldn't. The officers and the inmates were forbidden to talk about politics.
Okay.
So the one that always cracked me up was the no scuffling of the feet. Huh. I was never quite. That one's always been in the back of my mind. Is that was a thing back in the early 1900s?
Yeah. Who knows? That could go on that, like, the thing out there of, like, weird laws around the country. Like, if you go into, like, the weird laws in Florida, like, you can't walk your alligator on a leash or something strange like that. It could be.
My favorite weird law is the Frankfort, Kentucky.
Okay.
Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they enacted a law that says that you can't walk around on Sunday with an ice cream cone in your hip pocket. Yeah,
like, where did these come from? We should do a whole episode on weird laws across the country and what we have here in Kansas and Missouri. That'd be really funny.
Yeah, it's one of those things that one of those life's experiences that go,
Who came up with that and thought, yes, let's go ahead and print that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some of the most notorious people that are from, not this generation. So we can get into, let's start with Carl Panzram. I want your take on him. This is what I pulled on this individual who spent time at Leavenworth. He was quoted as the meanest man who ever lived, and he was the first to be executed.
He was the first inmate executed at the United States Penitentiary Leavenworth.
There you go. And what he said, and this will tie back to some of the things that I mentioned before that you've been featured in. In my lifetime, I have murdered 21 human beings. I have committed thousands of burglaries, robberies, larcenies, arsons, and last but not least, I have committed sodomy on more than 1,000 male human beings. For all these things, I am not in the least bit sorry. I have, he has no remorse.
Yeah,
that's what he was quoted.
I have no conscience. I do not believe in man, God, nor devil. I hate the whole damned human race, including myself, and the only regret I have in life is that it has but one neck and I cannot get my hands around it. I am rage personified. They have told me in my lifetime I should reform myself. Well, I go and reform other people, and my means of reforming them is to kill them. My motto is to rob them all, rape them all, and kill them all.
Insane. I mean, this guy's story. So I went down a rabbit trail in preparation for this episode. I told you to go kind of watch the story and like what you, the story that you were telling. I think it was the History Detectives on PBS. But kind of give us on this episode your narrative on this individual who is one of the most notorious in the U.S. and spent time here in Leavenworth at the prison.
One of the things about Carl Panzram is he's the epitome of a serial killer, but he's also the epitome of a very intelligent human being. And when you go back and you take a look at his writings, his dictation on what was going on in prisons in that era is just absolutely 100% spot on. The everyday life in a prison, the torture and things that you couldn't imagine even thinking about doing today in a correctional facility.
Right. Because this is back in, let's see, he ended up passing away in 1930.
He was executed in 1930.
Early 1900s.
And he had spent time in facilities starting at the age of 9 at the Minnesota School for Boys in Red Wing. And when you read into their history, they were brutal.
Really?
And a lot of those boys' homes and children's homes back then, because they had them for girls too, they were just as torturous and mean. When you go back and you take a look at, for example, most baseball aficionados know who Babe Ruth is. He was raised in a boys' home, and the brutality that was beseeched on him was with him for the rest of his life. And when you see and read about it, the infamous case of where him and the manager got into a fist fight in the dugout during a game, and when they went looking for him, they couldn't find him. And when they found him, he's down in the boiler room. He's got both hands on a hot boiler, saying, "Idle hands are the devil's workshop."
Oh my gosh,
and
that's what we call childhood trauma, right?
Yeah.
The epitome resurfacing.
And that was one of the reasons why he spent a lot of time and a lot of his earnings supplying boys' schools and girls' schools with shoes and coats and stuff for the wintertime. And it was all spawned from his experiences as a child.
Yeah. Ugh. So Panzram, he went through that, and then that just set the tone for the rest of his life, becoming the horrific serial killer that he was.
He says it all when he says, "I hate the whole damn human race."
Yeah.
And he did. I mean, when he gets to Leavenworth, Thomas Bruce White is there as the warden, and in a article written by about Thomas Bruce White, he said he had seen a lot of notorious characters in his life, and he recognized Carl Panzram when they first walked him into the front door of the federal prison. He knew that this guy was trouble.
Yeah.
And in their first meeting, inmates had to meet the warden, and in their first meeting, Panzram tells them, "I'll kill the first SOB that crosses me.
Yeah.
Just leave me alone."
And they probably thought he was joking, right? Just kind of like,
no, Thomas Bruce White took him serious.
He did, okay.
And he watched this guy maneuver through the penitentiary, and he's only there several months before he brutally murders the laundry foreman, beats him to death with an iron bar.
Yeah.
And he chased an officer through the yard, and the officer was actually trying to get him lured towards a gun tower where the officer could shoot him. And Panzram had a foresight enough to say, "I know what he's doing." So he started hiding himself behind boxcars and made himself, he surrendered to officers trying to find him, telling them, "I've done all I can do today. I guess I'm yours."
Jeez.
And when he gets to court, and they're going on about what he had done over the course of his life and the murder that he'd committed at the prison, he literally stands up in court on the day he's sentenced and tells, when the judge says, "Is there any words that you would like to say before I pass sentence?" And he stood up in court and looked at the judge, and he told him, he says, "You people created me. It is your job to destroy me."
Wow. Okay.
And the judge sentenced him to death by hanging.
Yeah.
And he was executed in September of 1930.
Yep. First one.
And when he went to the gallows, he first refused to come out of the segregation building. And when Thomas Bruce White walked in and told him, he said, "Hey, this is your show. It's time to go." And he says, "I told you that I wanted no clergyman here at my execution. You have the Catholic priest and the Protestant chaplain standing out there. I want them gone, and I want them gone before I'll ever come out of here." So he went out and told them to leave.
Yeah.
And when he came out of the building, mind you, he's shackled from the feet to the hands, and he's got a straps around his arms to keep him from grabbing onto anything as he's being executed. He literally runs up the stairs to the top of the gallows and gives a little bit of a tirade commentary, and he literally turns around and looks at the hangman and he says, "What's taking you so long?" He says, "I could kill a dozen men while you're screwing around."
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it based on the story of him. And going back to the documentary that we mentioned, like that, the spirit of hatred and vengeance, like that's for sure a must watch. Yeah.
Yeah,
this guy's story.
And James Woods actually portrays Carl Panzram.
Okay. Yeah.
In a movie called Killer: A Journal of Murder.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And it's, you can find it on Amazon. And they've actually released it in DVD form, so you can watch it through that format.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's probably one of James Woods' accurate portrayals, because I mean, he is just spot on.
Yeah. That's wild. Now, he is the one, let's see, is he the one that befriended the guy who worked at the prison that he ended up like having all the notes?
The movies always portray Henry Lesser as working at the federal prison at Leavenworth, when actually he worked at the D.C. jail and asylum.
Okay, yeah.
And
DC.
he started bringing Panzram paper and pencil.
Yeah.
And having him write his
He was
story.
like, you have a story to tell.
And
document this, yeah.
Henry Lesser actually became a professor emeritus at San Diego State University. And I've got a good friend of mine that was actually one of his students.
Okay.
And we've talked to him. We've talked at length about Henry Lesser and what his thought patterns were of why you'd bring Panzram paper and pencil. And it was pretty much basically he saw this guy as a human encyclopedia of what prison life was like.
Yeah.
Life on the road, and it was a story that needed to be told.
Well, and as you said, he was clearly a very intelligent man.
Right.
And so he would be able to articulate that, document that in a way that maybe 99% of others wouldn't, per se.
Yeah,
so.
and it's a 40,000 word dictation that he wrote out.
That's
and
wild.
You can actually find it on the University of San Diego State University.
Yeah.
It's on their website. You could pull it up and read it.
Yeah.
And his whole take on the prison experience of that era, because he spent time in prisons in the Midwest. He spent time in Sing Sing prison.
Okay.
He was actually at Leavenworth previously.
Oh, yeah.
He was at the United States Disciplinary Barracks, the military prison. And all of his experiences are written down and there for the world to see. And I mean, it's spot on as to what was going on in corrections at that point in time.
Yeah, super fascinating, no doubt. Well, so that brings me to the next one that I wanted to talk about. Iceberg Slim, a.k.a. Robert Beck, a notorious Chicago pimp turned author who spent time serving a sentence for prostitution-related crimes. So this guy also ended up becoming like writing scripts for movies or authoring books. Is that right?
He started out authoring books once he got out of prison and turned his life around.
Yeah.
And he became sort of the, in the 1960s, they called them black exploitation movies.
Yeah.
Where they're exploiting the pimp. And if you go back through and listen to individuals like Snoop Dogg, some of the early rappers and stuff like that, they call him the king of the pimps.
Oh, side note, by the way, I had a guy from Kansas City in here, Courtney. He's called Big Court. He started a streaming network called the OG Network with Ice-T. And when I was looking at what you were featured in or what you contributed to the Iceberg Slim Portrait of a Pimp, what Ice-T was behind that as well. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a crazy tie of who I just had in the studio talking about the OG Network. And then the OG Network popped up with that movie that you contributed to. So it was a fun, tie back for me. Yeah,
I've done several different things over the course of time that laying groundwork and I always shy away from saying expertise because
you can definitely say expertise here. That's why I have you here.
It's kind of one of those things that's when you start talking about prisons, it's like the book Edge of Lost when I did that. The entire backstory of the prison atmosphere in that book was all written by me, and and working with the author was just amazing because she's actually an award-winning author and such.
Yeah.
That it was kind of like, wow, I put a fingerprint on something, you know.
That's a life achievement. That's a really cool thing to check off your list. Yeah, absolutely. You should be super proud of that. Yeah. Okay, so this guy, he's one of many, I think, that were probably imprisoned for prostitution-related crimes, but he ended up...
Most people don't understand the prostitution law is actually the Mann Act.
Okay.
It's what got John Arthur Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion of the world, sent to prison.
Okay.
He was actually married to the woman. He was married to a white woman in a time when interracial relationships were taboo.
Right.
So he winds up spending a year and a day in federal prison at Leavenworth.
For what?
He crossed state lines with his wife.
That's what he was in prison for.
Yeah, and it was the law of the Mann Act is crossing state lines for immoral purposes. And that law actually landed Chuck Berry in prison.
Okay.
So while Chuck Berry was in prison, he wrote the song "No Particular Place to Go."
Yeah.
So
that came out of that.
That came out of that, but it got a lot of people caught up.
Yeah.
In that's pretty much basically the white slavery law as far as prostitution goes, and that's what they're sentenced under. And I mean, they're still sentencing people under it today.
Really?
Well, I mean, the international transportation of humans all over the world, children,
falling under
women, etc. It's unfortunate, but it's horrific. The numbers that you see when you go through stuff like that.
Sure.
It's still the same law that they punish people under today.
Okay.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the international scene is just it's taken on a life of its own, and
yeah.
Nobody should ever be subjected to anything like that, ever.
No kidding. Absolutely not. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Birdman Robert Stroud. So tell us what we need to know, some fact checking on this, because we were talking about how the movie, you can talk about the movie and like the accuracy and his backstory.
The backstory is he left home very early in life, early teenage years, and he's dabbles in prostitution in Michigan.
Okay.
He starts getting in trouble there, and he moves to Alaska, or he's running a brothel in Alaska in Juneau. And the book says that he was in love with this particular prostitute, when in all actuality he wasn't in love with her at all. The argument became the bartender refused to pay for her services, and Robert Stroud went down, purchased a pistol for about $3, walked up to the front door of the bar. When the guy opened the door early that morning, he shot him in the head and killed him.
Okay.
So he was sent to McNeil Island, Washington, and there he attempted to murder another inmate for exposing an escape attempt that he was going to pull off.
Okay.
So they send him to Leavenworth, and Robert Stroud's file from the very beginning, he was just a malcontent in prison, constantly in trouble. The story of him being in love, him marrying a woman by proxy later in life, is hiding the backstory that he was gay.
Okay.
He was into writing stories explicitly about pedophilia.
Okay.
He was not the
It seems more common than most people might assume, especially hearing these stories, like going back to Panzram and, what he did too. So.
Yeah, he's not the kindly individual that the book makes him out to be.
Okay.
And the book is a total work of fiction
Yeah.
in a early 1960s, late 1950s Life magazine article. James V. Bennett, the director of the Bureau of Prisons at the time, tells Life magazine that at no time did he ever contact Robert Stroud. He never wrote him. He never had a face-to-face visit with him. All of the things that were written about him in the book Birdman of Alcatraz are derived from other stories, newspaper articles, and such that sort of glorified the individual.
Yeah.
Robert Stroud never, he was not a made scientist. His book, Stroud's book on birds' diseases, was all derived and plagiarized from a book that was released in Paris, France a couple of years earlier.
Okay.
The experiments that he conducted on birds at Leavenworth would now be considered animal cruelty.
Yeah. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I think what I saw is that, I mean, he was obviously like more maniacal maybe than some others, but he ended up finding birds like on the grounds of the prison, and take the story from there of how he got the name and developed this whole kind of persona at Leavenworth.
Back in that era, Leavenworth and the federal prison system were still in their infancy. And one of the biggest issues became overcrowded prisons. Leavenworth was actually built and constructed to house anywhere from 1,500 to 1,800 inmates. Well, in its highest level, they had 3,500 to 4,000 inside the walls of the prison.
How?
It's
doubling down?
Pretty much basically anybody that got sentenced to federal prison, we're sending you to Leavenworth.
We'll figure it out, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll figure it out from there. Well,
wow.
They get up to these massive amounts of population, so we got to find something for criminals to do.
Yeah.
Because the old adage in corrections is if you don't find them something to do, they're going to find something to do.
Yeah.
And usually what they find to do is not beneficial to the gated community in which they live.
Sure.
So it all spawned from he was doing all these little experiments that he claimed was helping birds and et cetera and so on. And his part of the bird diseases book, he did find a cure for a common disease of canaries by accident.
Really?
With his experiments.
Interesting.
But, I mean, his experiments included injecting them with gasoline.
So he brings these birds into his cell.
Right.
And then he's doing whatever he's doing. And they're allowing him to do this.
Yes.
Because there was nothing at the time that was saying that he shouldn't legally or, I don't know, cleanliness, anything to go with that.
And that was one of the reasons why he was actually sent to Alcatraz, is because he was very unkempt.
Yeah.
He had bird droppings all over his cell.
Right.
Canaries just flying everywhere.
Yeah.
In his cell.
And cutting them open or doing whatever he's doing. Yeah.
He would leave the carcasses laying on the floor, and it got to the point to where he was receiving letters and publicity at the time, and it was just getting out of control. And then when they went and actually physically started taking his cell apart, they discovered he'd been making 180 proof alcohol
while he was at it. Oh my gosh.
So
things you wouldn't think would be possible. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So he got the nickname at Leavenworth. Then he was transferred to Alcatraz, and then the movie was made about him and his experience.
Right.
At Alcatraz. Is that correct?
And the movie is so
it completely dismissed the whole origin of
And the movie is so off base.
Yeah.
Like during the 1946 riot, he didn't crawl under gunfire in order to close the closed cells.
Yeah.
To keep guys safe or stuff like that, because he was housed in the hospital.
It was a bit dramatized.
The inmate population hated Stroud with a passion because he wasn't a part of them. He was just one of these that was a malcontent with whoever he came across. And on the day that he actually murdered Andrew Turner in 1914 in the dining room at Leavenworth, the story in the book says that his mother had tried to visit him and she was turned away. Well, it was actually his brother Marcus.
Okay.
And Stroud was an obsessive individual, And in that era, you were allowed to leave food and stuff for the inmates. Well, his brother had brought him a bunch of candy and other things, and Stroud got all hyped up on sugar.
Yeah.
And when he went to the dining room the evening before, he was sitting there and he was talking out loud and was all hyped up on sugar. And the officer at the time, Turner, walked over to him. And at that point in time, when you walked over to an inmate for a disciplinary reason, you would just walk over and look at the individual and go, number. Well, Stroud being the individual that he was, the inmates started messing with him about Turner being a head buster, about Turner having a reputation at Atlanta before he transferred to Leavenworth, and so on and so forth. And Stroud was in the dining room the next morning or next afternoon for the noon meal, and he raised his hand to go to the restroom. Well, when he gets out into the aisle, he starts walking towards Turner, and he tells Turner, did you shoot me? Meaning, did you write a report on me? And he says, I demand an answer. And Turner's telling him to sit back down. Well, as he approaches, he pulls a case knife out of his pocket and stabs him, and literally pinpoint accuracy severs the lower artery in Turner's heart.
Wow.
And Turner's dead. Turner's dead before he hits the floor. And when the captain of the guard approaches him, he throws down his knife, and they just walk to 63. He had no malice, no remorse for what he had done.
Seems to be a common theme there.
He later writes his father that he's being held for an officer, we'll say, had an affliction of the heart. Anyway, they're holding me for trial. I'll close now for lack of better news.
Yeah. Wow.
He's not remorseful about anything.
There's nothing to it. It's just kind of nonchalant.
Yeah, and some of the officers that I talked to, I had talked to officers that had been there in the 1930s when I first started.
Yeah, what did they say?
And they talked about how just unruly this individual was, and that he was maintained in SEG because they just couldn't do anything with him.
Yeah.
The inmates didn't like him. He wasn't in the book he describes that at just one wave of the hand and the dining room would have been in pandemonium and more officers would have died.
Yeah.
That's not the case because the inmates didn't like him. If anybody would have wound up dead, it would have been him.
Yeah.
So his whole story is just a fictional.
What is the alternative then to watching that, which is fiction? Like, what? I mean, not really fiction, but ends up being more fictional. Is there another thing to watch that represents him better, or book within anything that you've written, anything else that would be the better place to go?
His legacy has been maintained pretty much by his family.
Okay.
All of his writings and stuff that he had sent out are all held in a bank in Illinois.
Interesting.
That is closed down, and the family actually bought it.
Okay.
And so
that's held tight.
One of the things that there's a book out there called The House of Whispering Hate.
Okay.
It's probably by far the best book I've ever written or ever seen written about Leavenworth. Because everything that's in that book, I could literally take that book to the National Archives and pull the inmates' files that he talks about in that book, and it's all there in black and white. Everything that he's writing about that. And his first day in population, the author, he describes the laundry foreman being brought through the rear corridor on the way to the hospital after he's bludgeoned to death by Carl Panzram. And he talks a little bit about the Birdman of Alcatraz or Leavenworth at that point. And he sort of lays it all out in the book that Stroud was not the individual that everybody supposed he was. And Stroud himself comes up for parole when he is moved out of Alcatraz. When Alcatraz is closed down, he's sent to the medical facility at Springfield, Illinois, or Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
And he goes before the parole board, and they ask him, why, after all these years, do you think you should be released? And why do you want to be released? And his remarks to that question were, I have so little time left, and there's so many people left in the world for me to kill.
Somehow knew that was coming.
And he bragged about, when I die, my story will be front page news all over the world. Well, unfortunately for him, he died on the same day that JFK was assassinated, and his story was relegated to not appearing in the papers at all, to back page little blurps about Robert Stroud, Birdman of Alcatraz, subject dies overnight in Springfield.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
So he didn't get his wish on that part.
Yeah, but here we are talking about him too. So
so I mean, 100 years later, here we are.
Yeah, 100 years later. Speaking of that, so there are other movies that Leavenworth has been featured in. The Last Castle, 2001, and then Birdman of Alcatraz. So those are like two. Are there any other places that Leavenworth is featured in any movies?
You listen to, there's an episode of MASH where they tell Hawkeye, we're going to send you to Leavenworth.
Got it.
The TV show Jag, which was really kind of funny because they would say we're going to Leavenworth, and in a couple of episodes they actually show the front facade of the federal prison and not the military prison.
Interesting.
So it's kind of, that's kind of funny.
The joys of how TV and movies are made.
And we're even mentioned in the Groucho Marx movie Duck Soup, where he makes the comment in court, I would rather spend a 5 and dime in Woolworth than a 5 and dime in Leavenworth.
Okay. Yeah.
So and Gene Autry wrote a song called 11 Months in Leavenworth.
Okay. There's a lot out there.
George Kent, the song Always Liked Leavenworth, and just totally, the legacy and legend of Leavenworth is derived through different genres and types of media that were out there and everybody knows. And that's one of the things that I kind of explain to people of why people have this curiosity of wanting to know and tour facilities is it's the unknown of what life is actually like behind a 40-foot wall. And Leavenworth's wall is 40 feet tall and 40 feet into the ground.
Wow. Yeah, what are some other fun facts to know about that? Like, that's interesting to know. So obviously for them to not escape. But I want to hear more about your experience working there, and give us some stories, give us some visuals, give us some bring us into your experience there as much as possible from some of the things that you witnessed and what it was like in there.
The institution itself is a dichotomy of the rest of the world.
Yeah.
We've had international criminals there. We've had gang members, gang leaders, the Aryan Brotherhood, all of their...
Tommy Silverstein,
Tommy
right?
Silverstein, Barry Mills, and others were there. The Hells Angels were there, most notably the leadership of the Hells Angels, the Texas Syndicate. Oscar Lopez was the leader of the FALN.
Okay.
One of the stories and one of the experiences I had was back in the 1980s, the Weather Underground and the FALN came up with a idea that they were going to break Oscar Lopez out of prison. And they walk me and another officer into a briefing the day before and tell us, it starts out, the guy looks at me, he's a U.S. Marshal, and he says, okay, this assignment, you can back out of it if you want to, but you can't say anything about it. We know that your brother-in-law works at the Leavenworth Post Office downtown, And I said, yeah, and that has to do with what? Well, the conspiracy is that they were going to blow up the downtown post office in order to tie up local law enforcement and firefighters and so on and so forth. So when they actually assaulted the prison, they were going to blow up the rear gate of the prison to gain access and break Oscar Lopez out. Well, my job and the other officer, we set out in a grassy field. They took us out there before sunup and come and got us as nightfall was breaking on that particular day. And our only job was if anybody tried to assault the rear gate, we were to lay down fire.
Yeah.
And we were out there with handguns and rifles and copious amounts of ammunition and so on and so forth. And that was our job. We were the two that was going to defend the rear gate at all costs.
Right.
So, and the FBI and U.S. Marshal Service had actually broke that case before it actually happened.
Okay.
But they didn't know how far along it got before, and had they actually gained explosives and stuff, were they going to blow up the rear gate? So that's why we were out there.
Yeah. So the whole thing was like foiled or whatever. It didn't happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Were
you scared? Or were you like, this is just a day in the job that I needed to be prepared for someday?
It was just another day at work. When you get into corrections, you kind of gain this feeling of, well, here I am.
I'm sure.
It's a job you don't see every day. It's something, like I said earlier, almost hourly you find something that makes you go,
Uh-huh.
And the story of like Russell Buffalino and the mafia members that are there at the time, I'm getting ready to break them out for lunch out of a cell house, and Russell Buffalino standing there, and just off the top of my head, I look at him and I go, so what did you do with Jimmy Hoffa?
Yeah, just lay it out there.
And all of the mafia members standing there at the time were like, you cannot ask the old man that. Too late, I did.
Oh, yes, I can.
And he just kind of looked at me and stared me down. And as I break the unit out for lunch, he's walking past me. And of course, we call it the old man shuffle. He's got a cane and he's kind of shuffling his feet and moving towards me. And as he goes past me, he grabs me by the shirt sleeve and he pulls me over to him and he says, we cremated that SOB alive, and just walked off.
And there you go.
And it was like,
and scene.
Well, okay.
Thank you so much.
Mystery solved.
But that's so crazy that like you were engaged in that kind of interaction.
Yeah, and I've always been the type of individual that I call it a quirk, I guess. I'll look at, I used to do this to my son. I'd look at him and go, so how did that work out for you?
Yeah.
And the rest of the story is, and inmates have their own culture, their own feel about things. There's a hierarchy to inmates. There's always a shot caller inside the prison.
How does that come to be? They're just certain people that work their way up the hierarchy because of their
correct
ego or
actually,
what they did to get in there, like
what they did to get in there.
Yeah.
There used to be a TV series that they did called In the Line of Duty that would talk about situations that happened. One of them involved an individual that was part of the Posse Comitatus group in Minnesota and Iowa and in that part of the world. Yori Call, which was the son of Gordon Call. They killed two U.S. Marshals on the side of the road. And Yori Call was considered a political prisoner. And then you had the group The Order that killed the disc jockey out in Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
They had been arguing back and forth. The disc jockey was a Jewish man, and they were anti-Semitic group. and they rolled up in front of his house one night and just literally lit him up.
Jeez.
As he got out of his car. They got sentenced. They were all sent to Leavenworth.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce Pierce was the leader. And we were transporting the order from Leavenworth to Springfield, which was going to be picked up by Springfield staff and taken to Marion.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're getting them ready to move that morning, Bruce Pierce looks at me and he goes, Mr. LaMaster, he says, I just want to say that my group is going to overtake this caravan sometime on the way to Springfield. And when they pull your cold, dead body out of the van, don't take it personal. It's just business.
Noted.
And I was like, okay. So when I got in the van, I had a .30 caliber carbine in the van. I jacked around in the chamber, stuck it through the screen, pointed at him, and I said, if anybody looks like they're going to take over this caravan, my first shot's probably going to go through your head.
Bam. Yeah.
So don't
that
take
go
it
over?
personal when they pull your cold dead body out of the van.
Yeah, there you
because
go.
it's just business.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love it.
So there's a demeanor to it, and some of the things that actually witnessed to murders, assaults. I can't tell you how many assaults I've seen, fighting, and
Yeah.
one of the best fights I ever seen was between two old inmates that were heavy-set smokers at the time, because you could smoke in prison at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear this noise. I'm in my office doing paperwork, and I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
So I walk out of my office, and there's a TV room like 2 doors down.
Mm-hmm.
I walk over, and these two guys they're calling it a fight. It wasn't much of a fight, but I'm standing there, and my number 2 officer's come running down the gallery. He's going to push the body alarm. They're like, hold on a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys, and one of them goes and picks up a chair, and I look at him, and put it down.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts the chair down. By the time he sets it down, he flops in another chair, and the other guy flops in a chair, and one of them looks at me and says, are you ever going to call for help?
Oh my gosh.
I said, are you guys done?
Yeah.
And yeah. I was like, okay. So I called out and I told the lieutenant, I just need 2 escorts to escort 2 guys that were fighting.
Yeah.
And they were like, you had to fight. It's 2 old guys.
They didn't get much accomplished in that fight.
I don't need somebody getting hurt.
Yeah.
Because when the call goes out, and at Leavenworth, you could go from one of the mildest days ever to within seconds something going on. And it would generally start out, control to all radio units, officer needs assistance, a cell house.
Mm-hmm.
And
you have A, B, C, and D.
A, B, C, and D.
Right, like the
Building 63 was a segregation building. It was originally built, and then that was replaced in March of the late 1980s
Okay.
by a newer facility that was put on what used to be the old baseball grounds.
Okay.
So the dynamics of the prison and where it actually changed was when they started renovations of the cell houses. They actually added this newfound thing called air conditioning.
What a concept.
And the demeanor of the institution just dropped overnight.
Really?
It went from...
Because that was just making people spiral. Like
Yeah.
they were just becoming so irate.
Yeah,
and
because,
acting on it.
and not to take away from... There's a lot of people out there that think the book called The Hot House is a good book. It's really not. It's not very accurate at all.
Mm-hmm.
A depiction of the institution at that period of time, and at nowhere in the institution's history has it ever been referred to as the hot house.
Okay.
It's always been the big house, the big L,
Yeah.
and things like that. It's never been known as the hot house ever.
Yeah.
But the one thing that he does get correct in the book is the old cell houses. When you're in one of those old cell houses, particularly in the top of the cell house, which when I first got there, take a cell house for example.
Mm-hmm.
A cell house is 2.5 city blocks long,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
5 galleries high,
Yeah.
cells that hold 8 to 12 inmates.
Jeez.
There was an officer for each floor, a number one officer, and you were instructed never do anything alone in that cell house.
Yeah.
Because
so dangerous.
When you get into 300 cells holding 8 to 12 inmates,
yeah,
the population greatly outnumbers you. So it was, the first assault that I seen in that cell house was in that cell house, and it was on Super Bowl Sunday.
Okay.
And in your training, they tell you that 99.9% of the time, anytime you have an assault, inmates will move away from it.
Okay.
To get away from it so they don't become a part of it.
Sure.
Super Bowl Sunday, this inmate starts stabbing another inmate. I'm on the third floor with another officer, looking down on top of it when it starts. They have a cutoff, middle stairwell. In the old days, the bigger cell houses, the inmates traversed the cell house by the middle stairwell. The front stairwell was for officers only.
Okay.
So I'm going down the middle stairwell, and there's this throng of inmates rushing to watch. And as I come around the cutoff, the individual that had stabbed this guy, I bump into him with a knife.
Oh, jeez.
And I back him off.
Uh-huh.
And a good friend of mine by the name of Paul Racine actually walks up on him and says, "Don't make this any worse than it already is." And one of the things that differs in corrections as into other lines of law enforcement, and I'm not trying to take away from street police because they're a wonderful group of individuals, 99.9% of them. It's the 2% that make the rest of the cops look bad. In a prison environment, you don't have a gun. You don't have pepper spray at that time. We didn't even carry handcuffs.
Okay. Because of them being able to access it off of you?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it was one of those situations where we were actually diffusing situations, not knowing exactly what we were doing.
Yeah.
Or what it was called. But we would stand there and talk it out at times, saying, "Hey, you know what? You don't want to make this any worse than it already is."
Yeah.
And most of the time, you didn't have to fight or scuffle with these people, because one of the things that, when you've got 800 inmates in a cell house or 300 inmates in a cell house, you don't know.
Sure.
There's factors there that, if I get in a physical altercation with this guy, are the 50 guys standing behind me going to jump me?
Ugh, that's terrifying.
So you kind of got to talk this through.
Yeah.
A little bit. So it's kind of one of those that if you don't know how to talk,
yeah,
if you're meek and mild-mannered, probably corrections is not your forte.
Not your career path. So how, looking back at your 31 years there, how would you describe yourself working as a correctional officer in the beginning, or just working there in general in the beginning by the time you left? How much did you change, or how did your outlook change, or how would you describe that evolution after 3 decades working there?
One of the things that definitely, and it's still today, my head is constantly on a swivel. I've always been a kinesthetic type of person. And kinesthetic type of people are most likely thought of as ADHD.
Okay.
When in all actuality, they know everything that's going on around them. They know that, they see things that other people don't see.
Yeah.
And I've always been that type of person. And corrections sort of increased that. I don't go into a public place. I know everything that's going on around me.
Very aware.
I'm very aware of situational awareness. I will talk to individuals I've been trained to fight. I've been trained in self-defense, riot control. Part of my career, the very early part of my career, the Special Operations Response Team ideas were created at the military prison at Fort Leavenworth, and they have spawned into corrections all over the world.
Yeah.
So we used to call ourselves the crash test dummies.
Okay.
In the military, when you come up with an idea for new training, it's like, hey, that's a good idea. We can't fund it right now.
Yeah.
So here we are, a group of individuals that are taking self-defense from a former Marine recon ranger that was trained by the Korean Rock Army in self-defense. We're doing riot control with broomsticks and discarded catcher's gear that they were going to throw away in the trash, and cell extractions and firefighting and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like, you know, it's an interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah,
something most people will not do in their lives.
It's don't dress your kids up in catcher's gear and have them beat each other with broomsticks. It's
not advised.
Yeah.
Don't try this at home.
So it's a training, and I've done crime scene photography and.
Oh, really?
The biggest difference in crime scene photography and regular photography is my subjects come pre-posed.
I like that.
Yeah.
Clever.
I don't have to tell them to smile or sit up straight or whatever.
A little more efficient in that shoot.
Definitely been involved in several homicides.
Involved how?
Responding to the situation at hand. And one of the things I always describe to people is think about it. Police officers on the street arrive to a scene, a murder scene. They could be there within minutes. They could be there within hours, days, weeks, months, years. And that's not taking away from anything that they see in their daily operations as well, because they see some horrific things as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to downplay their part, but the big difference between a police officer on the street and a correctional officer inside a facility, we arrive on the scene as it's actually happening.
Yeah, because you're right there.
And we've gone back over video once cameras became, and I'm actually on video of the first homicide in Leavenworth ever captured on camera.
Yeah.
And it started out, the individual was sent to tell the guy to turn a radio down, and the guy disrespected this guy, and he wanted to blood in with the Aryan Brotherhood. And that was how he gained his bones, and he started stabbing this individual, and he's on top of him. And I'm actually the first officer there because I was in the main corridor when it happened.
Okay.
And I get there and literally come in the door, make a right, and it's right here.
Yeah.
And he's straddled this guy, stabbing him multiple times. And like I said, at that point in time, we don't carry clubs, we don't carry mace, we don't carry handcuffs.
What do you do?
What
did you do?
First, find the first thing you can find and wrap it around his head.
Okay.
Which unfortunately there was nothing there. So we're trying to shove him off this guy and yell at him and everything else. And the last thing he does is he just looks up and he goes, "Die, you die." And he shoves the shank so hard into the guy's chest, he actually breaks a piece of tile on the floor underneath of him.
Oh my gosh.
And he jumps up. And of course, we've got a white supremacist here. The lieutenant on duty at the time is black. Great. And the lieutenant is the only guy that's carrying handcuffs. And why he did this, he looks at him and there's no going to put handcuffs on me. Mr. LaMaster will handcuff me. And I'm kind of like, I didn't know this inmate knew who I was.
Right. Yeah, interesting.
And I cuffed him up and took him away. And
wow.
The last murder that I saw happen was actually still an unsolved murder today.
Really?
The individual was a drug lord out of Oakland, California, by the name of Felix Mitchell.
Okay.
Felix Mitchell was sent to Leavenworth as a kingpin in a drug operation in the Oakland Bay Area, California.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to Leavenworth, and the story's always been circulated that he was killed over $7 worth of fruit on a transistor radio. The other backstory is that he went into the Moorish Science Temple meeting and told the head of the Moorish Science Temple that his days of running Leavenworth were over, that his crew was on their way and they was going to take control of Leavenworth, and it was a disrespect thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually was in the hospital with the individual. When we first got him to the institution hospital, I'm bagging his clothes for evidence, counting stab wounds and such. And actually, when I got to the downtown hospital, they were trying to get this guy into surgery to save his life.
Uh-huh.
And they started taking everybody's blood pressure.
Oh.
In the emergency room.
Why?
To find out if somebody was not keyed up to the point to where they would pass out and become an issue that they had to deal with while in surgery.
Okay.
Well, yours truly, my blood pressure was normal.
Mm-hmm. So you're the designated.
They took my blood pressure 4 or 5 times with different cups.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the first one to go into surgery with them until I was relieved after they came out of surgery.
Yeah.
But I was the winner because my blood pressure was normal.
You just acclimated to that, I would assume. Like
Yeah,
your blood pressure wouldn't even spike because this is what you were doing day to day.
One of the reputations that I had, I actually was one of my, I don't know if you want to call it an award or recognition type things, was directing staff in an emergency situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the lieutenant even commented that he had never seen somebody so calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah. That was like your gift.
When all hell had broke loose.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I don't know.
You're like, I don't know why I was given this, but
yeah, I don't know
I'm
why.
your guy. Did you ever have a moment where you were terrified for your life?
I was stabbed at the military prison the first month I went to work there.
Oh, welcome to the job.
Yeah, welcome to the job.
Mm-hmm.
I got all the hard things out of the way.
Sure.
Very short order, so
yeah, threw you right in.
Sort of set the theme for the rest of my life. The guy, we were clearing the dining room, and back in that facility at that time, the inmates would come in, the last inmate to come in and go through the chow line.
Mm-hmm.
From that point, when he sat down and started eating, was 20 minutes.
Okay.
Then we started clearing the dining room, and we would clear the dining room from what we call the front to the back to where the inmates went out. I'm clearing the dining room, and I'm telling guys, time to go, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy looks at me and he says, "You best be cool around me." I said, "Excuse me?"
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he says, "I told you you need to be cool around me."
Mm.
And I was like, "It's time to go."
Who are you? Tell me more.
Yeah.
Move. Yeah.
And he said a few things that I won't say here.
Feel free.
I don't want to make mom at home blush. But the inmates all wore ID badges.
Uh-huh.
And I told the individual, I said, "Give me your badge."
Yeah.
He jumps up, and all I saw when he jumps up from the table was something shiny in his hand.
Mm-hmm. Knife?
And it turned out to be, he had taken back then we were still using steel table knives.
Okay.
And he had actually smuggled one out of the kitchen and brought it back in with him, but he had honed it down to a point because
Yeah.
the knives we used were like typical butter knives that you use at home every day.
Sure.
And all I recognized is that it was shiny, and he had raised his hand above his head.
Mm-hmm.
And my first maneuver was I stuck my arm straight up, and he went straight down my arm, or straight up my arm.
Ooh.
And I'm looking up, and he's got me in a triangle corner.
Uh-huh.
He keeps cutting me off. And I'm looking up, and we didn't carry body alarms. We didn't carry radios. We didn't carry anything in the military at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking up, and everybody's leaving the dining room.
Mm-hmm. Do they not know what's going on? Or
And they
they're
had not recognized the fact that I'm backed into a corner.
Yeah.
And as I'm maneuvering around this corner, I see something else shiny sitting on a table.
Mm-hmm.
And all I did was I grabbed it and I slung it. Well, it was what they called steel battleship trays.
Yeah.
That they fed them on at the time.
Yeah.
I threw this thing, and
Frisbee.
like they sail like a frisbee when you cut them loose, and it hit the wall. And one guy turned around to see what was going on, and he hollered for everybody else.
Uh-huh.
And the guy gave up.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Well, one of the things that I didn't realize, and everything happened in such a blur, that I didn't realize I'd hit this guy.
Oh, really? You mean with the tray?
No, I'd actually physically hit him with a fist.
Yeah.
And I broke his nose.
Oh.
Had no blooming clue.
You probably were like blacking out for part of this or something too.
And I'm kind of like trying to figure my way out of this.
Yeah.
And keep maneuvering around tables and trying to keep a table distance between me and this guy. And I'm like, and I'm looking at the back of the dining room, and I'm kind of like, hey, hello.
Do you think he honestly was just like set to kill you at that point if he could?
No, I think he wanted to go to the federal system.
Okay.
Because the military, when they get individuals like that,
Yeah.
they ship them off to the federal system.
Uh-huh.
And I found out later, probably a year later or so, once he got to the federal system, he got murdered.
Oh. Why did he want to go there?
What's
in it for him?
Different parole guidelines, different
Okay.
atmospheres
Okay.
and such.
Got it.
I will tell you that if any of you out there have the word disco tattooed on your neck, don't mind me if I keep a distance between you and me.
What is that?
He had the word disco tattooed on his neck.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
And
if
that
it was
was
like a
one of the-
larger group, like the Aryan Brotherhood that you referenced earlier.
And
Okay.
that was one of the things that why
Is that
things
triggering for you to this day?
to a degree.
Yeah, I would imagine.
One of the things that even I noticed about myself, and I don't know why I didn't. One of these days, scientists can, when I'm no longer in use of the brain,
Study up.
they can study my brain and figure this out. Things do slow down.
What do you mean?
Situations that I've been in look like they're in slow motion.
I see. Okay.
I don't know why. I can't explain it other than it appears to me like it slows down.
Interesting. There's got to be a name for that.
Personality.
Are you saying like real time or when you're thinking back?
No,
to the
real
incident?
time.
Real time. Interesting.
It just totally, for some reason, seems like it. It's like an incident where I was talking to an individual that was in PC status, and I told it we were taking up food trays at the time, and I told him, I said, hang tight, I need to get this done. I'll be back in a minute. Well, I came back, and it wasn't 3 minutes later, and I walked up to this guy's door, and he's laying on the floor,
Yeah.
and he's the color of my shirt.
Oh. Okay.
I immediately called for assistance, telling him I have a medical emergency. And I just went against protocol. I opened the door and pulled this guy out because he was in a narrow room that was the second floor of the hospital. And I get this guy out in the hallway, and I immediately start doing CPR on him
Yeah.
because I recognize the fact that this guy's not doing well at all.
Right.
And and each inmate has a quarters card.
A quarters card?
A quarters card. It's a picture of them with their information on it.
Okay.
And anytime you move an individual from one unit to another, that quarters card has to go with them.
Got it.
I went up to grab his quarters card as they're getting ready to ship him downstairs to the hospital. And I grab his quarters card. And why? I look at his quarters card, and I can visualize his quarters card to this day. I pulled it up, looked at his name to make sure I had the right individual.
Yeah.
And I can read the entire information because it's only like this big.
Sure.
I can read the entire information on his card. One of the things that struck me right off the bat, his birthday is May 8th, 1960.
Your birthday?
Yeah.
Whoa. That's crazy.
First guy I ever give CPR to.
What did that do to you at that moment or to this day?
My first response was,
Yeah. You're like, is that me? Wait a minute. Am I having an out-of-body experience? Is that what you thought?
Probably the only time I've ever showed any type of being freaked out. I was just like, I pulled that card up out of there, and I'm like,
no kidding.
Jesus.
Yeah, you're like, what is this meant? What is happening right now? What does this mean?
What did I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, whatever it is, I'll change, I swear. I'm just, man. It was kind of one of those things that just
hit you in a
and it does
weird way. To this day?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be insane if you came out of doing that career without things that, didn't stay with you for life.
The second guy gave CPR to, I don't know if I saved the guy's life or whatever, but it was an older guy, older inmate, collapsed on the yard. The wind chill factor was 16 below zero. He was standing up against a 40-foot wall, and I was giving this guy CPR in shirt sleeves.
In what?
Shirt sleeves.
Oh, okay.
No coat. No, I was in the dining room at the time. They said they had an inmate down on the yard, and I responded. And I'm out there. I'm giving this guy CPR, giving him compressions and breathing and everything else. And for all of you listeners out there, you don't get cold doing that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was sweating, and I didn't realize anything about anything else that was going on other than the fact that I had people coming at me and inmates standing around and watching and stuff like that. Well, they bring a Stokes basket out, and we put him in the basket, and there's like 6, 7, 8 inches of snow on the ground, and we're motoring our way through this, and it's inmates and staff actually carrying this inmate off the yard. We get into the hospital, and it's one of those situations to where we don't know why the guy said it. We don't have a clue. Don't know. The PA looks at us and says, "Drop him here. I'll go get a stretcher." At the exact same time, all of the inmates and all of the staff dropped this guy in the middle of the floor. Let him go.
Yeah.
So now you've got a group of inmates and a group of staff members looking at each other in the middle of this foyer to a hospital, and we're looking at each other like, was that really what he meant?
Is that, do we do this right?
Were we supposed to do that? Are we in trouble? It's like, and it was just kind of one of those, it was a reflex to what was said.
Yeah.
And it was just like, well, all of us let him go at the same time.
Yep.
Well, when he hit the floor, all of a sudden he goes,
and he's back.
And he's back. So I'm not for sure I did anything to save this guy's life.
I'm like, was that intentional? Is that what we wanted out of that? Or
maybe.
That just happened by accident?
And several years later, I'm down at Fort Worth, Texas, taking training. And I'm standing there talking to a friend of mine I've known for years that's a lieutenant down there. So we're talking, and all of a sudden I feel this tapping on the back of my arm. I turn around and I look, and it's this guy that I gave CPR to several years before. I looked at him, he says, "You remember me?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "Don't expect me to kiss you this time either." And we kind of joked about it.
That's exactly what I came over here for.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and the lieutenant's looking at me like, "Don't expect me to kiss you?"
Yeah, what does that mean? Where's this coming from?
And I said, "I gave this guy CPR a couple of years back," and it's just like, never thought I'd ever see the guy again.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I've given CPR to 3 individuals.
Okay.
I'm 1 for 3.
Okay.
Which, quite honestly,
we can take that.
If I was a baseball player, I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah.
But so it's kind of one of those, and over the course of my career, and another thing where correctional officers differ than a lot of first responders out there is we are the first responders. We are the fire department. We are the paramedic. We are the individual that is first on the scene. We're the first person there to deal with a situation as it's occurring from ground zero.
Yeah.
I've put out several fires that were started in cells. One in particular, the fire was so hot that it actually destroyed the 2 cells above it.
Wow. How did it start?
They were going to burn this inmate out to get him off the compound.
Okay.
And they had stolen chemicals from the furniture factory that we had operating at the time.
Got it.
And they tossed it into the cell, and it's ablaze.
Yeah.
And I had actually came to work on overtime. We were doing a transport that day, and I'm in a suit and tie, looking all professional, and I'm sitting on the floor of a cell house, putting a fire out. Responded to a fire in the same cell house one time when we're standing mainline for lunch, and the officer says, "I have a small cell fire," and a lieutenant by the name of Bill Slack looks at me and points at me, and I go down the hallway to this fire, and the lieutenant's behind me as we enter the cell house, and this fire is literally, and if you could picture a 5-story building,
yeah,
the fire is in the center portion of the 5 stories, and there's like 2 stories between the top of the cell house and the ceiling, and it's actually singeing the ceiling in the cell house.
Yeah.
And the lieutenant turns around, looks at him, and says, "Boy, I hope to God you never ever call in a big fire."
Yeah. That's enough.
Yeah,
that is big enough.
So
yeah. So who is sent to Leavenworth today? Like how does that work?
Right now, there's a lot of transitional inmates that are coming in and going out of Leavenworth, meaning that they have when CCA was operating a U.S. Marshals detention center, they were holding individuals that were pre-trial inmates. And under the crime bill that was passed under the Clinton administration, it dictates that individuals cannot be jailed more than 250 miles away from their original home of originality. And when they decided that they were going to close CCA, they said, well, the federal court in Kansas City ruled that you can't just disperse these individuals anywhere across the United States because they can't go more than 250 miles away from their home.
Okay.
And plus, they're under our jurisdiction for trial.
Yeah.
So you've got that set of inmates that are there now.
Okay.
You've got.
Do you still have some of the like worst criminals? No. That's not a thing anymore.
No. That's where I got into the point earlier about we transitioned our inmate population, and it was kind of one of those that was like walking around in an institution that's empty for a couple of days is kind of a weird feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, where are they hiding and what are they up to? Type thing. But it's, and over the course of my career, I've come across probably some of the worst out there. Tommy Silverstein, Clayton Fountain, the Leonard Peltier.
And do you say that because of what they did to get in there? Was it their demeanor in prison when you were working there? Kind of all the above. Like,
It's
what makes them the
it's
worst?
the whole plethora of
Yeah.
who they are.
Yeah.
The founders of the Aryan Brotherhood.
Which was a white supremacist group within.
Right.
Yeah.
Then cartel leaders. So on and so forth.
Like for me, those would be some of the scariest people.
Right. We had the DeLuna brother, or not DeLuna, DeLuna.
Okay.
Out of Kansas City with the skimming trial out of Las Vegas.
Okay.
Mafia members. I mean, I literally can't name a mafia member that wasn't there.
Yeah. Interesting.
John Stanfa worked for me. John Stanfa was the South Philadelphia crime boss.
Okay.
That his exploits included a running gun battle down a highway in Philadelphia.
Oh, man.
Where his son was actually injured. Russell Buffalino that I talked about earlier.
Yep.
So we had military prisoners there that had committed murders and stuff while they were in the military.
Mm-hmm.
We had literally, you just can't name an individual that is a high profile individual
that didn't touch that prison at some point.
Yeah, we've had international spies. So we had the 1994 World Trade Center bombers.
Okay. Interesting.
So had an individual, I can't remember his name, but the individual that bombed the United Nations building.
Yep.
We had the first guy, Rene Verdugo, that was tried and convicted under DNA evidence.
Okay.
In federal court. He was present during the murder of a DEA agent in Guadalajara, Mexico.
Wow. So there's going to be a documentary made about Leavenworth.
Oh, I mean,
You should lead that.
There's been so many stories and stuff written about Leavenworth, and a lot of them, there's some accuracy to them. The exploitation factors are there. The legend.
Mm-hmm.
The stories and everything that are behind what goes on there.
Like what?
The assaults, the murders, the high-profile inmates
From the
that have been there.
prisoners, the inmates.
The inmates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a one-of-a-kind facility all of its own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we were the very first to open its doors.
So
every malefactor across history, from Machine Gun Kelly.
we haven't even gotten to some of those people yet. I was going to say, before the musician that many people would know, Machine Gun Kelly, there was the actual Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
Who was, let's see.
There was an incident that I was talked to an older officer when Machine Gun Kelly was there for the second time.
Yeah.
After the Charles Urschel kidnapping. He was the secretary for the parole board.
Okay.
And an individual was at his parole hearing, and of course representatives of victims are there, and so on and so forth. And this guy become unruly during his parole hearing, and Machine Gun Kelly interrupted the parole hearing. He says, "Hang tight just a minute, we'll be back." He takes him out in an outer office, and the guy describes it as for about 5 minutes you hear a bunch of scuffling and stuff going on. And the guy comes back with his hat in his hands, apologizing to the two women that he had abruptly spoke to previously.
Interesting.
So, and actually Machine Gun Kelly died at Leavenworth on his birthday.
On his birthday.
On his birthday.
Okay, so I was going to say, for people who love the historical aspects, so Machine Gun Kelly, he was a gangster who spent 17 years at Alcatraz before being transferred to Leavenworth, where he died from a heart attack, but that was the second stint there. But I read after his first stint at Leavenworth, he reportedly lived in Kansas City and formed a bootlegging gang.
He was actually sentenced to Leavenworth for the first time.
Yeah.
for introduction of alcohol on an Indian reservation in Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah.
And Oklahoma being a territory at that point in time, he was sent to Leavenworth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got out, and he was actually, it's going to sound like I'm going to give a plug for a book here, but he was actually one of the masterminds, I guess if you want to say, to the escape that happened in 1931 where they took the warden hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And along with Frank Nash, who was a true mastermind of crime, he was used in numerous crimes as he would go out and scout the area. He would scout different escape routes and so on and so forth. And he was originally a member of the Al Spencer gang, and the group that broke out on December 11, 1931, were part of the Al Spencer gang that pulled off the last armed train robbery in Oklahoma history.
Mm.
And
Interesting.
Frank Nash, actually, the premise of the escape became the premise for the Dillinger gang's escape out of Michigan City, the Indiana State Penitentiary,
Okay.
the smuggling of weapons into Eastham Prison Farm by the Bonnie and Clyde gang.
Ooh.
And then the 1934 escape from the Kansas State Penitentiary on Memorial Day where they took the hostage.
Mm-hmm.
They took the warden hostage there, and 11 of them made their escape out of there.
Wow.
So and when I was doing the book, Leavenworth 7,
Yeah.
I found the evidentiary file at the National Archives in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And while going through the National Archives records, part of the evidence was the logbook for the Arietta Hotel in Cicero, Illinois, where all of these plans took shape.
Yep.
Well, while I'm reading and they're explaining how the FBI figured out what the aliases were that Nash and Thomas James Holden were using at the time, one thing struck out as in adjoining rooms, Frank Nash,
Uh-huh.
in the adjoining room to his, the name Evelyn Billy Frechette is actually written
Really?
underneath Frank Nash's aliases.
Oh.
And for those that don't know who Evelyn Frechette is, that was John Dillinger's girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
So when you start putting the puzzle together,
Uh-huh.
you discover that there was more going on than meets the eye.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
So, and that's part of the, I think, the draw of why I read so much.
Yeah, and I want to go back to absolutely plugging your book, Leavenworth 7, The Deadly 1931 Prison Break. For people who love like this world and history and everything, like you go into great detail as to ultimately like how it failed, right?
And one of the things that I got interested in this escape when I first started
Yeah.
to work, during orientation, they gave a brief synopsis of this escape, and I thought, this is something that I want to know more about.
Yeah.
And over the course of time, I wound up buying pictures, old news photos and stuff off of eBay that were associated with the escape. I've got actual front page newspapers that dictate the escape from the time it set forth till the time it ended.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing. And then one day I decided, I'm just going to write to the FBI and find out what they have
Sure.
on hand, thinking that, whatever. So I send to the FBI a detailed letter telling them, who the main players were,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. And I get this letter back within 10 days telling me, we have found the files and we're going to send you the copies.
Yeah.
Just know that they're on their way.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to get 10 pages of heavily redacted,
Right.
documents and stuff. And I wound up getting 2,500 pages of printed material and 4 CDs.
No way.
So it was kind of one of those, I was kind of like, well,
this is more than I even could have wished for. Yeah.
It was kind of one of those things that blew me away. And I will tell your listeners that if you think that the FBI is horrible at redactions now, you should go back in time and see how horrible not a lot has changed in the last 90 years. But yeah, because I would read one page that all the names were redacted off of the page.
Yep.
And then 2 or 3 pages later, all of the names were still in the narrative. So it's like,
that's really funny.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm not exactly sure what the attention to detail or what the qualifications for the job are, but hey.
But okay.
Here I am in case, you know.
Yeah. So are you surprised at all with how fixated people have become with these podcasts and documentaries and the internet sleuths who are trying to help with the unsolved mysteries and everything? Like, what is your take on that as someone who worked in it and is a historian on it?
There's always a natural curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And I call it a curiosity because people, for years and years and years, even before I started to work there, I've actually bought photo albums of people that had just drove by and stopped to take pictures.
Yep.
Just to have a reference point of how the institution has changed through the decades.
Yeah.
And there's a natural curiosity as to what goes on behind the walls, because no matter who writes about it, the news articles that you see, hear, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, there's always the unknown.
Yeah.
What is it like to really be in such a, if you want to call it famous and infamous prison,
yeah,
all at the same time?
Well, and to be the type of person to get in there.
Yeah.
The different inner workings of how crazy.
And, you know, I still have friends of mine that I worked with at the state penitentiary. I still have friends of mine that and there's been times that you know, we joke about it now.
Mm-hmm. What do you joke about?
It's just, you know, how in God's name did we ever make it out of that?
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I've actually, I can pick up on people when they're letting the stress go too far.
Yeah.
And have talked to them.
Just in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
You mean that they would be susceptible to perhaps doing something?
Yes.
Got it.
Interesting. Unfortunately, there's some that are no longer with us.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us are.
Yeah.
So it's a stressful situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a normal mass chaos on a daily basis.
Right.
You can go from this calm, everyday existence to absolute chaos within seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, the Aryan Brotherhood killed one of their members.
Wow.
And I was actually in a tower when the situation occurred. But the people who gave testimony and the people that went through that situation, their clarity of the situation is remarkable at the time. Mm-hmm. They talk about, a lot of them say that they see a guy on the radio saying that he has an assault in progress in the main corridor of the prison.
Mm-hmm.
People were coming to work at the time. People were going home when the assault started. Got involved.
Mm-hmm.
Good friend of mine, Paul Racine, he was a Marine in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Had been to war, had been, you know, in different situations. He was taking over the control center on day watch.
Uh-huh.
And I can still tell you to this day, with all clarity in my head, that his actual transmission was He picked up the handset and said, "Control to all radio units. I have no idea what's going on in the main corridor. It just looks like all
shit broke
hell
loose.
is broke loose."
Yeah.
And it was this assault. And the Aryan Brotherhood's main mode of operandi when they killed somebody, they were very public about their killing. Their brutality is legendary. And they struck the guy with a pipe in the back of the head. And for all intents and purposes, he was dead before he ever hit the ground because they severed the brainstem. Two guys jumped on him and started stabbing him. Their wannabes were holding staff members off with weapons to keep them from intervening.
Yeah.
Several of the officers said that the two that were doing the stabbing on two separate occasions stopped and reached for a carotid pulse. And then continued until they didn't get a carotid pulse.
Yeah.
And they handed weapons off and said, "We're done."
Wow. Unreal.
So
and you saw that?
I didn't.
You didn't see it? Okay.
I've seen incidences like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't particularly involved at that in that one.
Yeah.
But it's the clarity that a lot of people that I've worked with and myself to see things that most people in a chaotic situation don't see.
Absolutely.
Is kind of, it's like I can talk about it, but I can't totally explain it, why it happens.
Sure.
Why the clarity is there.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Okay, I just looked at the time because all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, we could keep talking for hours. I have so many more questions I could get to. I'm like, I want to hear about solitary confinement. We wanted to talk about some of the other people, but we're going to run out of time. But I did want to ask, where do you take it from here? What's on your radar? What do you want to accomplish? And I'll obviously share with everybody the things that we talked about that you're featured in and the books that you have and everything. But what else for you at this point?
Well, I'm going to have some downtime because I'm having surgery later this year. Okay. And I've actually formulated the idea of a book about the individuals that were executed in Kansas. Okay. Going all the way back to the very first at the Kansas State Penitentiary and forward. So I've kind of dabbled in that. Okay. To find out what everyday life was on death row for individuals.
Oh, yeah. That'd be really intriguing.
To find out whether they were remorseful, whether they, what their thoughts were, what their daily plans were, and stuff like that. I've kind of did some research, and I know some individuals that got some files that cover those guys. So it's kind of putting everything towards that.
I like that
idea of just what it's like to be on death row.
Let me ask you this. Did you meet anyone in your time who showed extreme remorse and you think it was authentic?
No.
Okay. So interesting. Now I need someone on to come in and talk about the brains that they've studied, or the therapy that they did with some of these individuals, or psychiatry, anything. That would be the next step.
Yeah, because it's...
Get inside the brain of a serial killer. Let's go there.
The inner workings of a true killer is an interesting...
It's an intrigue for a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, they...
How do you get to that point?
And, I mean, I watched a thing on YouTube the other night about Tommy Silverstein. Yeah. And Silverstein and Fountain both were, they always make their stories sound like, they were brutalized by their parents and they were bullied as kids. And I've come across some people that quite honestly, you could just about say that was their lot in life. Yeah. They all come from similar torturing animals as a kid,
Yep.
and so on and so forth. And I always described talking to Tommy Silverstein. Had watched him several times when he was in his solitary cell. And he one time looked at me and he told me, he says, you know, Mr. LaMaster, you've always treated me with respect, decency. I have no issues with you. You've treated me like a human being. And I told him, I said, well, you know, I'll treat you as a human being as long as you want to be acting like a human being.
Mm.
And he looked at me and he said, well, I have no beef with you. I said, but, you know, I said, there's a common denominator that me and you know too well. And he says, what's that? And I said, I know for a fact that Clayton Fountain is your buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And Clayton Fountain don't like me.
Mm.
And all Silverstein did was smile.
Really?
But the whole time that I'm talking to him, and I always describe it like this, looking into his eyes was like looking into an abyss. There was nothing there.
Gives you the
And
chills.
when he would talk to you and when he would just converse with you, you could tell that the only thing that was on his mind is how he could kill you if he had the chance.
And you thought that at the time?
Yeah.
Not looking back. Wow.
And he...
That is something most of us, knock on wood, would not experience in life.
Yeah, he was a non-emotional person to an aspect of where he was calm, cool, collected.
Mm-hmm.
He talked in a very monotone manner.
Mm-hmm.
And the personality, the substance was not the normal personality that most people interact with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And there's so many inmates that I've come across over the course of my career. We were just talking about one the other day. There's a book out there that was written in the 1970s called Murder Machine.
Okay.
The lead character in that book is a guy by the name of Henry Borelli.
Okay.
Henry Borelli was sort of that same mold.
Mm-hmm.
He had a very monotone existence, and because he worked for the mafia as a hitman, he would during meals,
Mm-hmm.
he would be standing off in a corner somewhere by himself just watching everything going on.
Yeah.
And particularly the old man's table, where the heads of the mafia, Buffalino, Stanfa, individual that was there by the name of Kirksey Nix, who was implicated in the murder of Buford Pusser from the movie Walking Tall.
Okay.
He was the head of the Dixie Mafia
Mm-hmm.
at the time. So, and all of the other individuals that like I said, Leonard Peltier,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't a particularly likable individual.
Yeah.
Because he was all about I'm Leonard Peltier,
Yeah.
I'm famous.
It's all about me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And a lot of the Native Americans didn't like Leonard Peltier either.
Okay.
They didn't particularly care for as a brash.
Yeah.
It's all about me. Look at me. I'm Leonard Peltier.
Yeah.
I'm a political prisoner. I got all these celebrities writing me.
Mm-hmm.
I've got all of these, famous people that want to talk to me.
I would say to this day, that is not something most people would be drawn to with people. So.
One of the things that, as a institution historian, I pitched this idea to the warden, and I'd known this warden for years, in Lee Connor. I'd walked up to him and I said, every other place that you ever walk into, any law enforcement agency, any police department, fire department, first responders, they always have a wall dedicated to the people that didn't make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he says, good idea. Have it done by Correctional Workers Week next year.
Oh, yeah.
So I started interviewing, pulling up information out of the media, talking to people that were there. And it's amazing when you start talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to all of the family members of the staff that had died in the line of duty, all the way back to a captain by the name of Andrew Leonard in 1924. Wow. His oldest daughter was still alive.
Okay.
It is absolutely amazing that every single solitary wife, child, staff member can remember the most minute details of the final minutes.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Mercedes Leonard talked about how her father, on that morning, he had never done this before. He had a 6-week-old son. He fixed breakfast for his wife in bed.
Mm-hmm.
Walked from room to room. Her room, her younger sister's room. Kissed them both, told them I love you, went to work. 2 hours later, he's dead.
God, that's so tough.
And talking, it was just amazing.
Tragic.
Listening to these people talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some of the toughest guys I've ever worked with cry like a 5-year-old.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the work that you guys, that you have done, I mean, hearing these stories, that's why I'm like, I could keep talking to you and hear other people's stories and what you're talking about here.
And when you start talking to these people, you become really connected.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's just, it's unreal. I actually took, and the dedication to the officers that died,
mm-hmm.
there are 7 that died at the hands of inmates and 7 others that have died by construction accidents.
Okay.
And so on and so forth. And talking to those people
mm-hmm.
about the situations and talking about them, about what went on that day. And some of them have great stories about how they were taken in like a family by the staff of the institution.
Yeah.
A couple of them had some horrible stories about how the wardens handled the situation at the time.
Okay.
And one warden was hiding behind his curtains in his office because he thought the inmates were coming after him.
Mm-hmm.
So
terrifying.
It's kind of one of those things that it'll definitely leave a...
How could it? Yeah. I mean, what you've done, this is why I love your story so much and what you've done and what you've put out there, because it's not even just about, there's so much more you could get into from these people and the upbringing and their families and who left kids behind and, wives behind and everything. Like, everyone's impacted by these people. Somebody is impacted by all of these people.
And the stories that grow from that.
Human stories. The storytelling is what people live for. And that's a whole 2.0 we could get into, you know?
Yeah, because it's kind of one of those things.
And how your wife has been with you hearing these stories too. Props to your wife and your son, for...
I can't get rid of her now.
Can't get rid of her now.
She's put up with me till this point.
That's incredible, because I could imagine you sometimes would probably want to come home and just be like, oh my gosh, this happened today or whatever, That's a strong family.
We had a particular incident that occurred one time. And the Muriel Cubans destroyed Atlanta and Oakdale, Louisiana. And I was constantly at work.
Mm-hmm.
From early November to the end of the year, I doubled my salary.
Wow.
For the year. And I came home, and my wife was talking to me. And the first thing I did is I walked in the garage, grabbed a beer, and opened it up, took a drink out of it, set it on the table.
Good for you.
And I'm sitting there, and I reach over and I start. I can remember undoing my boots to take them off, and my wife is talking to me. And my wife says she turned around because I hadn't answered a thing she said. She turned around and looked at me, and I was bent over, untying my shoes, and I was asleep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm sure that probably happened multiple times, right?
I always called...
Mentally, physically, emotionally, this job would take it out of you.
I called my wife the uniform fairy because I'd come home and my uniforms... I'd come home to shower and change uniforms. My uniforms were already together and made up and ready to go.
What a saint.
It was kind of like... I got to keep her. She's the only one who knows how to put my uniforms together.
Yeah, at least for that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the whole. It's a to say that I didn't walk out of that changed would be a total lie.
Yeah. Sure.
To say that there's things that I don't replay in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a buddy of mine that occasionally we'll have a bourbon and cigar night.
Love it.
He once told me that we kind of overdid it one evening. And he asked me if, are your demons ready to go to war with my demons? And I said, you can tell that demon of yours to pull the thong back up and get on its merry way. His wife is standing there like, are these two going to fight, or what are they going to do? And it's kind of like, no. So it's an everyday process.
Mm-hmm.
I plan on living to be 90.
Mm-hmm. You should like consult or be like a mentor in some capacity of like what you went through, how you've coped with it. There's probably something there too.
Maybe. I mean, it's kind of like. Correctional officers, even though we may have not worked the same facility, we're sort of, we've got our own Facebook pages on Facebook that are closed, that are closed to the public.
Yeah. I love
and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like, I've noted things that I've read that I've reached out to them through Messenger to ask them, you doing okay?
Yeah. Only you guys would feel the pain and know how to talk to each other and connect and bond. And
I've had the same thing happen to me.
Yeah.
People have reached out to me and they'd ask, you all right?
Yeah. I love that.
So it's
all about your community.
We talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we talk about the things that made us laugh.
Yeah.
The people that we worked with, we all had nicknames.
Yeah.
Goat Man.
No Birdman though.
No Birdman.
Yeah, that's taken.
I know you'll edit this out, I hope. We had one guy we called the Mad Viking. All the rookies would come in contact with him, and he'd look at him and say, you're kind of pretty. You want to see my...
Right.
And I had a rookie working with me one time, and every hour on the hour, he'd see him, and he would say, man, you're pretty. You want to see my... And
it's not the guy you kissed, right?
No.
I'm just kidding.
And the guy walks up to me, and he looks at me, and he sits there, and he says, God, this guy's driving me crazy. And I said, why? What? And he says, this guy over here, every time I open the door, he steps out, looks at me, tells me I'm pretty, and ask me if I want to see his...
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I said, just call his bluff, tell him you want to see it, and
he'll done with it.
Shut up, and he'll walk off. Well, next hour, we open up the institution for movement, and I'm just busy doing something, and this rookie walks past me, looks at me, and he says, you son of a...
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? And he says, I asked him to show it to me, and he did.
It's like, I didn't think he would actually go that far.
No, I've never seen him go that far before. But then he got his because we had a female correctional officer when females became eligible to work inside of Leavenworth. one of the female officers walked up to him and said, "Hey, are you so-and-so?" And he says, "Yeah, that's me." And she says, "Well, I'm a rookie and I'm kind of cute and you've never asked me and I want to know why. I'm going to file a sexual harassment charge on you because you don't think I'm good enough to see yours."
Oh, look at that. Showing our true colors.
And we're all just dying laughing. It's just like, yeah. So the whole experience is just something that you don't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the stories of correctional officers, the story about the inmates that we were watching, their inner workings and the days and nights and everything else. It's one of those. It's a curiosity factor.
Yeah, but I think to your point, I think that is a thank you for your service. Honor what you guys are doing. That is not a job everybody wants or could even do. So,
I don't think it's a job anybody
I
wants.
think it's a good opportunity to admire what you've done, and also for you and your group to, express gratitude that you're here, and you're with your family, and you're with your friends, and now you can write about it, and that's your story to tell. So
yeah, because there's things running around in my head I don't think I'd ever want to put on pen and paper.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this has been awesome. Like I said, I could keep talking. So thank you so much for sharing. This is so many cool details. And I mean, it's such an interesting thing. Obviously, Kansas City is what I do, Kansas, Missouri. So this is going to be really, really fun for people to hear about your inner workings with Leavenworth.
Now, you'll probably get a call or two. God, there's something wrong with that guy.
Not at all. Not at all. Hey, I'm the one who invited you here. So you were my guest of honor. So thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in and finding inspiration in these incredible stories. If you love what you hear, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, leave a rating, and share the show to help these Kansas City voices reach even more listeners.